think, speaking with the shadow, kind of that kind of deep like identity work, right? One of the things that I think is really helpful, and I know you talk about this a lot, is acceptance and commitment therapy type techniques, which is like kind of where you're going with that. And one of the things that I've been using lately, and I know I told you this a couple of weeks ago, is that kind of like annoying salesperson approach, right? Because I think, like that's essentially what Todd is saying, right? We're not going to ever get away with it. And I think you and I imagine you would agree with this, but I don't ever remember talking to an elite athlete performing at a high level who's like, no, I never get negative thoughts. This is just great. I'm just happy all the time. Right. Like, I know you work with a handful of NHLers, especially those that were in the Stanley Cup finals. And I have to imagine during that time, they had negative thoughts coming in.
Oh yeah. All the time.
Right? Yeah. Especially like, goalies and defensemen in that series in particular, right? With what was going on. And so I think that idea, just for everybody listening to understand, like, you don't suck, you're not lesser than, you're not worthless because you have these negative thoughts. Like between Cass and I, we're working with Olympians, NHLers, like all these people, and they have them too, right? And I think what separates like people who maximize their potential, let's say, and those who don't, is the ability to accept that they have those thoughts, but then come back to the moment in terms of what they're doing.
Yeah, 100%. And it's just normal. Like the more we can normalize that, because again, nobody else knows what's going on in other people's heads. So they're like, I'm the only one. No, you're not the only one. Like, one of my favorite lines is like, actually, this is quite normal. Like, it's normal. Instantly, they like feel better. Does that make sense? Like, what do you mean? Other people have these kind of thoughts and feelings? Like, yeah, like they do. Like, it'd be weird if you didn't. Like, I mean, it's like
I love that idea. I say that all the time. Like I'll say to people, I'm like, I might see 25 people a week in this, and I can tell you that there's seasonality to how people feel. Right. Like in the fall, everybody's like, oh, I'm feeling a little bit more down, like depending on where their season is, their marathon. I'm like, I got like 20 people I'm talking to this week that feel the exact same way. Right. And they're like, oh, really? Like, I'm like, I'm not lying to you. Like, that's just straight up. Right. And so I think you're right. Being able to normalize that and put that forward as an idea is crucial.
And I think what's also interesting, there's like 3 to 5 types of people understanding of the mental game mindset work. So there's actually one category of people that are blissfully ignorant, meaning like they don't know anything about self-talk and mindset, and it ain't hurting them yet. Does that make sense? Because they haven't faced probably enough pressure or adversity. But at some point, then they go into the other category, was like, I don't know much, and I don't know how to like stop getting out of this negative spiral. Right. And then that's when usually somebody, might start, or somewhere around there, and they start going down the rabbit hole. There is a other end of the spectrum, whereas they know so much about, I'll call it Pandora's box. Like they've opened and like understand their mindset, but then they like can't stop thinking about it. And they're like, they're overdoing it in the essence of like, they're just ruminating forever and constantly trying to, change them. Like they index too far the other way, where it's like they're making it bigger than what it is. It's like, yeah, the mental game is big and it is important in a way, but like it's not something you need to think about for 5 hours a day. Does that make sense? Like, and you're thinking about your pressures and the context and the narratives and these, like, it's like, yeah, like we got to park it too, and then just go and apply it. And so that's where it's like, sometimes people are afraid to start maybe going down the rabbit hole, because then they're like, well, I might not stop going down the rabbit hole. And so I'd rather just like, suppress it and not go to my thoughts and the feelings and ignore them, which again will backfire. So at some point, in some way. And so there's a healthy way to like, hey, let's talk this through. Let's air it out. Yet we don't have to air out our dirty laundry all the time, everywhere, and just like, show everybody and like, not be able to like put it away after. It's like get the air, or, the dirty laundry, the emotions out, process them, wash them, then pack them back up and like get back to work. Like, I mean, and like back to just running, back to just your sport. So I don't know if that was helpful, but I find it's just like an interesting way to like, as people that are thinking about dabbling into it, it's like, you got to find your, again, that's why like we don't, like a lot of our sessions are 30 minutes. Like I don't want it to just be like, let's just talk for the sake of it. Like, no, like let's not. Like that's what you do with your friends. Like here we're trying to like get some advice and coaching and get somewhere.